Greetings, everyone. I hope all is well with you and your families. And welcome to another episode of Boomer Dad Chronicles. This episode, we're going to do some exploration. We're going to look at a list that was put together by a writer for CBS News. And she compiled a map of the deadliest cities in the United States. Do you think you're safe? Are you safe in your city, your town, your neighborhood? You safer than the people in Chicago? And if you're in Chicago, do you think people in other places are safer than you? I think after you look at this, the results will be astounding. You might be surprised and might not be so pleasantly surprised. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to Boomer Dad Chronicles. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Boomer Dad Chronicles. Today, we're going to talk about an article written by Alicia Feldstadt of CBS News. It was written in February of 2022, this year, and it's using data from 2019. This is prior to COVID. And the name of her article is Murder Map, Deadliest U.S. Cities. What she did was she took 65 of the deadliest cities and ranked them per capita in population, based on population. And so I think you'll find it interesting, as I did. There's some cities on here that you would never have thought were on here. Some are lower, some are higher. The biggest thing for me is Chicago. Think about Chicago, 2019, when the president at the time was threatening to send troops in to stop the violence because it was so bad, so much murder and mayhem and dystopia. Sort of treating Chicago like it was, Gotham City, and that's all you heard every day. And don't get me wrong, the killings in Chicago are high, especially on weekends and Labor Day. I think it was there was some horrific numbers, but there were other things happening in other cities that kind of went under the radar. And Chicago, for some reason, was singled out. And I think you'll find that as we go through this map. So I'm going to go through it. There's 65 on the article. I'm not going to go through all 65. I'm going to put a link to the article in the description. And we're going to go in reverse order as they started in 65 and moved up. What I want to do is start number 1 all the way till we get to Chicago. And so we'll see where Chicago is on the list. Is it in the top 5, top 10, top 20, top 25, top 50? You'll see from this list. Number 1 on the list is St. Louis, the show me state. St. Louis is number 1 according to this article, this list. And so there, I'll listen to you. You can tell me. You know how they say, I can show you better than I can tell you. Don't show me. That's the number 1 place is St. Louis. Number 2, Baltimore. And, I love Baltimore. I have a lot of friends in Baltimore. Love going to Baltimore. I live not too far from Baltimore. I go there. We used to go there all the time to see the Ravens play. I love Camden Yards to see the Orioles play. I love the Inner Harbor, the restaurants there, the ambiance. The thing about Baltimore, the people, they have their own accent, their own little norms, the way they speak. But I also know, and I'm going to say this, my favorite TV program of all time was The Wire. I love The Wire. My favorite character, Weebay. We'll get into that at another time. But not all of Baltimore is like The Wire. Now, The Wire was written by a Baltimore Sun reporter and a former police officer. And a lot of the accounts are based on reality, on true. So I'm not saying Baltimore isn't like The Wire all the time. What I'm saying is that, well, I am saying that it isn't. It can be like The Wire, definitely to some parts, and sometimes it's a reality. But I've never had any problem in Baltimore. But partly because I I tried to go where I know I'm okay. Baltimore, like any other place, if you're going into some neighborhoods and you don't know anybody in these places, you have to be careful. You got to walk with your head on the swivel. Don't have your head on your in your iPhone crossing the street or walking down the street. Somebody could easily spot you, pick you out, mark you. You walk in, with your, especially the younger people with their heads on their iPhone and or their smartphone is not a very wise thing to do. You're an easy target. Back in the day when I was young, we would call people Vicks. You a Vic? He was like, "What's a Vic?" It's a victim. And that's what you're gonna be, because you're setting yourself up. So situational awareness is very important. Know your surroundings. Look around. If somebody's looking at you real hard, pay attention. Don't just turn your back and ignore it. Birmingham, Alabama, number 3. The Ham. Oh my goodness. Number 4 is Detroit. Detroit, Michigan, as they used to say. Detroit, home of Eminem. If you're not Eminem and you're not from 8 Mile, maybe you shouldn't go in that neighborhood after a certain time if you don't know anybody there, if you don't live there, But to me, that's common sense. Um, I grew up north of Michigan, north of Detroit, really northern Michigan, and I would go there from time to time to see my cousins, every year at least, spend some time, and so I had somebody that could vouch for me. I can go where they went. Um, you can get jammed up anywhere if you don't have the right persona. But you go in there thinking that you're the baddest and the people ain't nothing and I'm harder and I'm colder than you, and you have that arrogance that could easily be spotted, watch out. And that could be in Detroit, that could be in Birmingham, that could be anywhere. Dayton, Ohio, number 5. Come on now. That's the home of funk. Number 6, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Number 7, New Orleans, Louisiana. So you got Louisiana back to back, 6 and 7. And Baton Rouge is worse than New Orleans. Kansas City, Missouri, number 8. There it is, the show me state. They showing you, all right, that's 2, St. Louis and Kansas City. Memphis said, I ain't going to have y'all do me. Memphis can be a tough place. It's not all about barbecue and Beale Street. Cleveland, Ohio. There's a lot of Ohio on this list. So already we're at number 10, and we have yet to get to to Chicago. At number 11 is Richmond, Virginia. Come on, Richmond. That's the home of Jefferson Davis, the Confederate capital. All right, Virginia is not going to be outdone. Virginia will continue. Number 12, Miami Gardens. I would have thought Miami would have been further up the list with Luke and that crazy gang down there. Washington, D.C., number 13. Hey, I live in the suburbs of D.C., and so you can get jammed up in D.C. The big thing here right now are carjackings. And even where I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, I don't get gas at night anymore, because usually at the gas stations is where things go left, go south. Recently, a football player, Robinson, a running back for the Washington Commanders, was shot and they think it was attempted robbery, possible carjacking. So, Washington, D.C., um, um, the DMV right now, and probably like a lot of other areas, is off the hook. Got to do something. North Charleston, South Carolina is 14. 15 is Peoria, Illinois. So we're at 15. Chicago's still not on the list. And Chicago's not even the deadliest in the state of Illinois per capita in 2019. It was Peoria, home of, I believe, Richard Pryor. 16, Philadelphia, PA. Um, so much for the city of brotherly love, you know. You know, am I too heavy for my brother? Them jokers right now, the way they playing, yes. Number 17, Columbia, South Carolina. Number 18, San Bernardino, California. Not Compton, not the Long Beach, LBC. It's not Oakland, not Los Angeles. It's San Bernardino, California. You could get jacked up in San Bernardino. Cincinnati, hey, Sugar Bear, Ohio players. Whew. Man, Ohio must be rough because they are well represented on this list. 20, Columbus, Georgia. Guess they were saying, I'm not going to let Atlanta beat us. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, number 21. Still no Chicago. Number 22, Atlanta, the ATL, the Dirty South. Southern Hospitality, Dirty South, mean. They're not playing down there. I don't know. Is it the SWAT, Southwest Atlanta? Is it Buckhead? Is it, what is it, East Point, College Park? I don't know what's going on down there, but they not playing. 23, Indianapolis. Naptown? Naptown's on the list? Where's Chicago? 22. 20, that's 24, I mean. Little Rock, Arkansas. 25, Shreveport, Louisiana. That's 3 for Louisiana. And guess what? The top 25 deadliest cities in the United States in 2019. And with all the news and all the hoopla, and Chicago's not in the top 25. 26, Montgomery, Alabama. Well, y'all need to boycott some buses and some other things, 27, okay. Buffalo, New York. Wait a minute. That's the first time we mentioned New York. You don't see New York City. You don't see Strong Island. You don't see these other places. But Buffalo? Okay. I didn't know they got down like that. 28, Chicago, Illinois. Home of Al Capone. Well, that concludes today's episode of Boomer Dad Chronicles. I hope you enjoyed. One of the things about putting these together is I learned myself prior to doing the research for this, I would have thought that Chicago was the deadliest city by far in 2019. Just the way that things were framed, the way that the narrative was written, and how things were set up. And so it's very easy to be deceived. So I just urge you to do your own research, jump into the data, find out what's going on your own. You have to be proactive and think for yourself and find credible sources and resources to get your information from. In terms of this crime, we're going through a crime wave, and it's terrible. I don't know what we can do to stop it. One of the stupidest things I ever heard of was that talk about defunding the police. I understand the frustration with the way that we as a people are being policed. I think, and I have no problem with the reallocation of resources to make sure that the right people are getting called out. I I reject the assertion that the police aren't trained and need to be retrained when the horrific acts happen, like what happened to George Floyd or even Breonna Taylor or many countless others of unarmed black people being killed by the police. It's not a training issue to me. I think it comes down to recruiting, that more of us need to be involved. We need to join the police force. We need to be part of the solution. We need to help with the investigations. No more of that snitches get stitches, that crazy stuff. If somebody does something wrong, they need to pay for it. The other thing that I want to talk about is this thing where whenever something happens, there's a lynching or the police do something against an unarmed black person, that it comes out, what about black on black crime? You got to stop this whataboutism. Crimes like murder and robbery and carjackings, those are crimes of opportunity. They're committed by people who are in close proximity to each other. So if you're in an urban place where most of the people are one ethnic group or another, then that's going to be the people that are going to be the perpetrators as well as the victims. You don't hear people talk about white on white crime, Latino on Latino crime, Asian on Asian crime. When I hear somebody say, and sometimes I hear black people say, we got to do something about black on black crime. No, we have to do something about crime. When you open it up to this black on black crime, what you're saying is, well, yeah, I mean, since we're killing each other, it's okay that we be killed. We can't be mad at somebody else because we're killing our own folk. And on the other end, you have, it really comes down to this. It's a white nationalist trope. It's one way of saying, hey, you guys don't care about yourselves. You're killing each other. So don't get mad when we kill you because you devalue yourself. No, you got to get out of that. Another thing, one last thing is when they talk about Black Lives Matter, we're saying Black Lives Matter too. Not that only Black Lives Matter. And we got to stop that craziness, because some people now, they get offended if you say Black Lives Matter. They're like, oh, well, what about Blue Lives Matter? Well, all lives matter. Well, if all lives really matter, we wouldn't have to have a whole movement behind Black Lives Matter and trying to say that we are valuable, that our lives have value. So those are the couple of things that we have to look out for when we're reading the press, when we're looking at these talking heads on these TV stations, and we're we're dealing with these situations. We definitely have to do something about crime in the community. And I'm not saying black on black crime. I'm going to call it crime. I'm going to call it what it is. So we have to do better than what we're doing. Thank you. Goodbye.